I thought I'd just talk to you for a minute. I don't want to make a speech. I don't want to give you a pep talk. I don't want to do any of that. I just want to talk to you for a second about something that's kind of serious. It really is. I was told once long ago, and it's true, there's only one thing worse or harder than your first book. You know what it is?
Your second book.
The second book. And it's true. And it's actually manifested itself in a disease. It's a disease that those of us who have been through that are aware of it. We know what it is. It can actually even be a fatal disease. It's called second bookitis. That's what it's called. Now, the great thing about it is there's actually a cure for the disease. So it doesn't have to be fatal. That's the cool part about it. But it needs to be recognized, because I sadly do know a lot of writers who never got past the first book, who never made it to the second book, who struggled with it over and over and over and never did it. And I don't want to see that happen here. I don't want to see that at all. But you know, it kind of makes sense why you have second bookitis when you think about it for a moment. You just think about it, why we would have it. Most writers who write their first book really aren't trained in the craft of writing. We really aren't. We don't really know what we're doing. We have a little voice in our head, and it tells us to write. Every writer in the world has a little voice in their head that tells them to write. That's why they do it. And we listen to that voice, and we follow it, and we go through it, and we sit down, and there's no pressure because there's no deadline. It's just, let me just do this. I've got this voice, it's driving me crazy, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it. I did it. Sat down, took me a year. All of you did it. A lot of people did it. And we don't really realize that we don't know what we're doing. That's the whole point. We sit down and we just do it, which is really great that we're able to sit down and pull it off and do it. There's an adrenaline that keeps us going. There's something that makes us happy. And then lo and behold, we find an agent, and lo and behold, we get published, and lo and behold, here we are. And we're up here, and we got it, and we did it. And guess what happens next? You got to do it again. Now, some people won't. Some people only have one book in them. Harper Lee's a perfect example. One book, that's it, I'm done. And that's fine, that's great. But most of us don't have that. Most of us have more than one book. Most of us have that little voice that drives us crazy, and we cannot ignore it. It's going to keep nagging at us, and we want to do it again. So what are the symptoms of second bookitis? How do you know you might be afflicted by it? Well, they're kind of obvious, some with, some not. Insecurity certainly is one, absolutely. Doubt, no question, a lot of doubt. Reservations, yep, you're going to have those. They're going to be all over you. Anger, absolutely. Seen it. A lot of anger in second bookitis. And then the most horrible one of them all, frustration. Frustration. And if you're not careful, those will combine up and push that little voice aside. And that's a problem. And that's what we want to avoid. That's what we don't want to have happen.